Looks like it's all me. Hey, y'all, and welcome to the AWO Journeymen Podcast. I'm alone this week. I'm JD, the Blues fan who, let's be honest, everybody, it was touched. This week I haven't got Nate, I haven't got Meso. They're both out this week. So it's just me. So, boy, let's talk some footy. I'm just going to get straight into it because I got nobody to talk to, so I'm just going to have to be the one that takes the reins here. Getting on to Friday night football, Geelong taking on Collingwood. We have 16-13, 109, plays 15-11, 101. Collingwood by 8 points. Collingwood, they've steadied the ship is the best way to look at it in my books. Everybody was sort of starting to write them off the last few weeks for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Couple of injuries to a couple of key players, but realistically, this list has depth, and I think we all knew that from the beginning. So they really did take it to Geelong for pretty much a full 4-quarter effort, but. Geelong still need to be credited. They were in the fight for a very long time. Realistically, it did look like early that Geelong were gonna potentially continue Collingwood's losing streak, but Collingwood finally turned on the basically got back to their old game style, and I shouldn't say old game style. It's only been a few weeks, but basically got back to the game style that it was working all season and just steamrolled over the top of Geelong. They just couldn't fire a shot after halftime for mine. They sort of had a mini comeback there in the fourth, but Collingwood way too strong. Couple of controversies in this game as well, but I'll get to those in a second. Big shout out to Josh Daicos. Nick's out with a knee injury, and look at the game that guy has. Stands up, has 38 disposals, 19 kicks, 19 handballs, 7 marks, 4 tackles. He was absolutely phenomenal on the night. Sort of stepping out of his brother's shadow there a little bit, because he just proves that he's just as much of a talent as his brother is. So well done to Josh Daicos. Stepped up more than anybody. Big news for Collingwood was, I guess, and I don't think it takes too much of a hit based on what we've all heard. It's a short-term injury, but the injury to Darcy Moore was quite significant on the night. It really did look like he had torn it off the bone there for a second. He was looking a bit destroyed. He came to the bench, and I think everybody thought the worst based on the way it looked. But he basically said after the game that, he was just feeling a bit tight in the hamstring. So he was basically subbed off for that reason. Now confirmed that he'll probably he's going to miss the end of the home and away season, but likely going to be back for that first final. So I don't think Collingwood's that hurts Collingwood too much in the short term, especially with them already pretty much shoring up first on the ladder. So going to be pretty much fine for Collingwood to roll on without more for the next few weeks. But let's just talk about Geelong's finals chances here, because they've taken a real big hit here. They're now sitting behind Carlton and basically 2 games behind Carlton and a game behind Sydney. And they do have the percentage on those 2 teams, but there's not a lot of time left, so have to win their last 2 games and basically hope that everything goes right for them to still get into the top 8. So I do think that the reigning premiers are probably out of this season's finals. So unlucky blow for Geelong, but it's probably been long overdue that they miss finals. And I think this was a year that they were looking quite complacent, which, you don't have to say that's a bad thing for them. I think we said at the start of the season, we were going to give Geelong every pass. They won the flag last year, and I still give them that pass. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still the reigning premiers. But the 2 controversies in this game were basically the two Jeremy Cameron kicks. One was the mark that the AFL ticked off on that said yes, it's was inbounds. I was fine with that. It was a 50-50 call. Like, it was one of those ones where you go, yep, we'll just umpire's call. You just got to play with that one on the night. The other one, however, was quite controversial in the fact that it was handball. Brad Close handballing to Jeremy Cameron, who then snapped a goal. Basically, the handball came when they were both still out of bounds, so should not have been allowed. Umpires got that one wrong. AFL has ticked that one off. So yeah, it was a real significant moment, that one, and especially now highlighted a problem that you know we have so many cooks when it comes to umpires, but still couldn't catch that one. So real interesting, and I do think umpires should, potentially a fine for that one, because that if you are going to get calls wrong and AFL is going to tick off on it, maybe a fine is something that they'll look into. But that also does deter umpires, and that's something we don't want to do from the game. So moving on to Saturday now, we have North versus Dons. Was first up on Saturday afternoon. 12-15-77, played 13-8, 86, in a spirited effort by North Melbourne, really trying to get a win for Ben Cunnington in his final game, which I don't know about everyone else, but it was a bit of a tearjerker for mine. He's an absolute star, and I think some of the things he said in his retirement speech really hit home when it came to, after his cancer treatment, that he just didn't have the passion for the game anymore. And that just sort of speaks life to the fact that there is more to life than just football. And he's now living that. He looked happy as to see basically just be able to embrace his kids and be able to spend the rest of his time with them and grow up with them. So what a career for Ben Cunnington, and what a way he went out. Two goals that were just brilliant. One that absolutely brought the house down in the first, and then in the fourth, I say brought the house down, but talk about nearly shattering the roof on Marvel Stadium. North fans really got up and about for that one, so that was good to see as well. So what a career for Ben Cunnington. I just wanted to say that first because absolutely love the guy, and I wish that his last year, like this year, went a little bit better for him. But at the end of the day, like he said, he just didn't have the passion for the game as much anymore. And he at least got to go out on his note, a contested possession beast, as we all know and love him as. Now, the Dons. They are looking mighty, mighty cooked. They just look tired at the moment. So running out of legs at the moment. I just don't think there's too much left in this Dons team. Basically, only just getting over the line against West Coast and North Melbourne, the two cellar dwellers of the competition, really speaks tenfolds for where the last little bit of their season's heading. Unfortunately, they are also heading to that round 24 clash where it looks like they could get themselves into the top 8 as early of next week, and then potentially have to play Collingwood and have it ripped away from them in that sense. So Nate's prediction potentially coming true, which is just sad for old Jabby boy. But I think he's just, I think a lot of Essendon fans are just happy with the season they've put together. I think it's been an unexpected season, and unexpected performances from some really, really, key players. One that I'm going to mention is Kyle Langford. Closing in on 50 goals for the season. He's having an absolute phenomenal season this year. As basically he was the first forward, and then became the second forward behind Peter Wright. He's just performing even better behind Peter Wright. So they get another forward down there. Essendon are going to look mighty deadly in that forward line, because I just think that Kyle Langford is brilliant when it comes to playing that second or third tall role, and he could end up kicking 60 goals one year, and that would be phenomenal to see, considering the sort of player he's become over the last few years, just not being able to. And one thing I think that's been really satisfying for him is just finally finding that spot in the field, because they've played him in a variety of positions, and now it looks like finally playing him, as Jabs would point out to me, finally playing him in his position that he should be playing in. So good to see Kyle Langford playing really well. The difference in this game for me was just how quickly Essendon moved the ball, and just how quickly they were able to get North Melbourne on turnover, and that was really, really crucial in this game, in this one. So well done to Essendon. Get the Chockies, move on to the Giants next week, and let's see what they can do. If they can get up in their next two, roll into finals and make them convincing wins. Anything's possible this season. So, yeah, let's see how the Bombers go in their final two rounds. Moving on to Saturday afternoon, we have Suns playing Swans. We got 18-6, 114 playing 13-12, 90. The Swans just way too strong for the Suns in this one. They just lost it after half time to the Swans, who just ran away with it and absolutely decimated them in the final quarter. They just the Suns are just a massive what if team. The Swans have now found themselves inside the eight after a stellar comeback. They've had another comeback like Carlton. They've only lost one of their last eight, so still got those 7 wins. So massive turnaround for the Swans, and have now found themselves basically not cemented in the eight, but basically firmly in the eight. 46 points. Look like they're going to break that curse that we've talked about many a time, where teams just gets thumped in a grand final and can't make the finals a year later. And I tell you what, I wouldn't want to play the Swans in a final. So I'm hoping we finish in a point where we don't have to, because they are looking really dangerous at the moment. So Swans are a real threat. And, when they've got players like Will Hayward in this game, who just played out of their skin, he kicked 4 goals, which was just an absolutely phenomenal performance by Will. So they're rolling into finals quite nicely. Took a little bit of a hit with another injury to Joel Amadi. It's we're hoping there's nothing too bad about it, but Joel Amadi known for a few injuries over the last year, so the party could be stopped. The big thing I want to get on about is, what do the Suns have for Damien Hardwick? What do they have to do for this man to basically be able to take them to the next level? They have a lot of good things for mine. They have a really good, some really good forwards. I think they actually are spoiled for choice when it comes to tall forwards at the moment. To be fair, Casbolt's near the end of his career. But when you've got the likes of Lukosius and King and Casbolt and Chol, that's a pretty damn good forward line when you can get it working. Their defense is really solid, taking a couple of hits through injury. Their midfield engine's quite solid. I think what they're lacking is probably still just a real couple of star midfielders. They're probably 1 or 2 away, and just that little bit of depth that they're also missing. But I do think that the Damien Hardwick hasn't got too much that he's going to be missing when he actually takes on this Suns list. We saw them early on in the season firing a lot of shots, and they do that. I know they do that a lot, but at the end of the day, they could really push themselves to be a side that finally gets over the hump, as long as they find just those few little keys. For example, finding a way to get that key midfielder that they're just that basically helps Rao, Anderson, and Took, having just that extra midfielder, plus just being able to find another key, maybe a key running defender, maybe a couple of small forwards that you could find. They're just lacking probably a few avenues to goal and just a few defensive players. So not a lot to work, not a lot to shake up in terms of things, but I definitely wouldn't be bringing in an old Dusty or something like that. I really want to see them bring in a younger midfielder, convince them to stay for a long time, and next thing you know, the Suns could be playing finals as soon as next year, and I'm willing to stick my neck out on that one. So even to know they took a loss in this one, Swans too strong, but still a lot of positives for the Suns. We'll move on to the Saturday afternoon game, which is Lions versus Crows. And the scores we have are 15-9, 99, playing 13-15, 93. Lions by 6 points, who almost choke out a what was looking like a real big win. But at the end of the day, Adelaide have been playing some really quality football. They've been able to do this, but their goal kicking in this game just let them down in the last quarter, kicking 2 goals, 5, and just not being able to get the job done on the Lions. To me, this is a big what if season for Adelaide. They were really struggling away from home early on in the season, and then they've really stemmed that made that look a lot better now. They're only losing by under 10 points now when traveling away from home. And I think they got a couple of wins as well this season away from home. Looking really dominant as well at home. But I think just a couple of they just needed those couple of crucial wins, and those will come. So Adelaide's rebuild is looking really good right now. They look like they're just on the cusp of finals for next year. Uh, we can only hope they don't go backwards. But I reckon they're going to be absolutely playing finals next year, especially with Tech signing on. Still to me, this year's still just a bit of a what if though, because just they've had so many chances to just get themselves to that next level, and just unfortunately haven't been able to do so. Taking it to the likes of Collingwood this season was just the point that I think where everybody realized, yep, this team is just something else. So, yeah, absolutely, still a great season for Adelaide, but still a lot to work on. The Lions need to really focus on their final couple of minutes when it comes to finishing out some of these games. Even though they won this game, they still looked mighty shaky, and I still think if Adelaide kicked straighter, we would be talking about a completely different story here. So the Lions really did escape with this one, and they sort of made it out, I think, on commentary like, oh, they learnt a lot from that Demons game, and I actually think they didn't. I think they definitely went into their shells a little bit too early, and next thing you know, uh, Adelaide were right on their tails for the last 10 minutes. So that's something that they really need to work on going into finals, because when they're playing the likes of Collingwood and Melbourne, it's going to be something where those teams love to break hearts, and Lions, it's going to be something that they really need to watch out for. If they can't work out those final minutes, who knows what's going to happen when it comes to September. But when it does come to September, I do think they have a secret weapon. It is their small forwards. They've got some phenomenal small forwards going around at the moment, and they all basically came to play yesterday. Charlie Cameron kicking 3 goals, 2. Link McCarthy kicking 2 goals, 1. Zach Bailey, 2 goals. Hugh McCluggage, 2 goals. And then, it was a quiet game for their big talls. So if that small forward brigade can get going, who knows what sort of headache that's going to cause for teams in September. So that's going to be, I think, their secret weapon. Who knows though? Those players can tend to go missing, but again, they only need to do it for the next 5 weeks, and next thing you know, you're a premiership player. So Lions rolling into September, getting the win here, even if it's only just. But at the end of the day, a win is a win, and they basically have sunk Adelaide's finals hopes, which is a shame for Adelaide fans. Now we're going to move on to the Demolition Derby of a different kind. The reason I'm calling it the Demolition Derby is because this was Freo's biggest win in Derby history. So I was shocked watching this one. I thought after the last few weeks where West Coast were putting in all these efforts, and basically last week only going down by a small margin against Essendon, really thought they were going to potentially get over the line against Freo here, but Freo just said absolutely not, and came out the winners by 101 points. So 4-9-33 played 20-14, 134. It was just a clinic by Freo. No passengers in this one, and especially big shout out to Lockie Schultz, 5 goals, 3. What a phenomenal player. We talk about him all the time. He is just a heart and soul player of Freo, and we absolutely adore him. There was a lot of good players in this one. A miss kicked 4 goals. Sturt kicked 4 goals. Walters won. Aish, Jackson, Johnson. It was basically just everybody get around, kick a goal, and let's have some fun. Typical suspects in the middle, as usual. Brayshaw, Sarong, 33 and 30 for both of them. Also had Clark Young and Schultz, which they're just the usual suspects. They play him well every week. I think there is a case to be made that Sarong should be the captain of this team, even at the young age that he is. Like I said, like Schultz, heart and soul player of this team. One controversy out of this game was Brady Hoff. Apparently pulled out of the game 30 seconds before this game. This game was delayed thanks to this. But according to West Coast, he was sick all week, and he had taken too many puffers of his Ventolin on game day, and that ruled him out for the game by the doctor. So I have no idea what that all means. So I'm not going to comment too much further on it. Could be legit, but if you're Kane Corns, you're calling West Coast a disgrace, because apparently that's disgraceful for the team. So I don't understand that one, but at the end of the day, it has to be some ramification for mine if you're delaying a game. That'd be the only thing I would have thought coming out of this one. But yeah, West Coast just probably needed to work that one out a little bit sooner. You would have thought you'd pick a healthy player, especially if you hadn't trained all week. But yeah, Freo win in what I've dubbed the Demolition Derby of this season, because they, like I said, destroyed their rivals. And just a little one for Meso. Apparently, West Coast fans are a little bit salty about that one. So yeah, stick it up them. We love Freo on this podcast, so we love those boys out west. Speaking of boys that I love, I'm not going to try and ramble too much about this one, but Carlton getting over Melbourne last night, 9-6-60, played 8-8-56. Carlton by 4 points. Was it touched? It's going to be the big question in the media this week. Was it touched? Caleb Marchbank says it was. I'm sure you ask anybody else, it's probably not. I think we all know what my biased Carlton heart's going to say. It's going to be it was touched. If I'm taking off the hat, I don't know. I do think it was. Yeah, it was hard to call. It's pretty much we just don't have the technology to determine some of these things, which is a shame, because you just don't want to see something like that happen in a final where it comes down to, was it touched, wasn't it touched? It's a shame, but at the end of the day, we got stipped a little bit last season, so I'll take it. So this game was just this was game of the round. This was phenomenal in a round that was a bit lackluster, considering what was hyped up about it. It was just a bit of a. This game was just a battle in the guts, in the forward half, in the defensive half. It was all over the ground. It was just, boys taking it to each other and absolutely destroying one another. With pressure and tackles, and it was, tough contest after tough contest after tough contest. It was just great footy to watch. And it really did have that finals-like feel, which I don't think I've ever seen Carlton play this well. They've now made it 8 in a row, which has left me speechless. I did not think that was going to be happening at all this season. So I tell you what, I'm stoked when it comes to that one. I do think now, and I don't want to go early because I don't want to jinx it, but I do want to say we're going to be there in September now. So, and I do think the way we're playing, you take out Port Adelaide, you take out Melbourne, you take out Collingwood. At the end of the day, you've got to be dangerous in some sense. It'd just be down to, I think, Carlton's finals. Basically they haven't played finals before. This could be Cripps' first final, which will be is astounding to even think about. So, what a turnaround from 8 weeks ago, where Carlton was sitting in the bottom four. So what an absolute turnaround for them. Uh, Big question for me though is what do we do with Gaundy? What do we do? What does the Melbourne Football Club do with them? They have the two premier ruckmans of the competition, realistically, when they're both firing, but they're in the same team and they're stopping each other from being the premier ruckmans. So I think this once again failed. I think this was part of the reason why Carlton got over the line, was the fact that Melbourne, when they play Gawn and Grundy, it just doesn't seem to work. And it just so happened that on this one, Gawn went absolutely quiet. And you think about the last few weeks that he's had, that's something Melbourne didn't need. So I do think Melbourne will probably go back to just Gawn, which is a shame for Grundy. But at the end of the day, he's going to have to find himself a new club at the end of the season. So who would have thought Brodie Grundy at 3 clubs in 3 seasons? I didn't think Brodie Grundy would ever be a 3-club player. But we'll move on to Sunday football now, where we have the Hawks playing the Dogs. 9-13-67 plays 9-10-64, where in a day where the Dogs may have coughed up a top 8 chance, and a day where the Hawthorn headache just grows ever so stronger for the competition. They are just phenomenal, the Headache, aren't they? And that's all I'm going to call them, the Headache, because they are phenomenal, Hawthorn. They've taken it to basically, they've taken 4 massive scalps this season for mine: St Kilda, Collingwood, Western Bulldogs, and Brisbane Lions. You know, you can't say that they're not a good, not a side that's heading in the right direction when they're getting scalps like that. It just proves that these young Hawks have got a lot of ticker. Some mentions from today's game would have been the fact that the Hawks had no multiple goal kickers, 9 goals spread just amongst the team, which is great to see. So Kaczynski, Bruce, Granger, Barras, Lewis, Day, Moore, Warple, Amon, Newcomb. You know, that's what you want to see from a team, is a nice even spread. And then you throw on the fact that potentially down the line they're going to be getting some real big scores out of somebody like a Mitch Lewis. Could be a 4 goal. You add those 4 extra goals and they're smashing the Dogs. Dogs were a little bit hampered in this one by the injury to Tom Liberatore, out with head, which we hate to see, especially a star of the game like Libba. Bont was also a little bit quiet in this one under 23 disposals, which I think was, real key to Hawthorn getting over the line, which also speaks tenfolds about their effort to tag out players. And I think the tag is on its way to coming back. They had some big standouts in Newcomb, Eamon, Nash, Warple, Day, and Moore. They just led from the front and got basically just shocked the Dogs. The Dogs have had this happen to them a number of times this season, where teams have just shocked them. And to me, it's potentially going to cost them a finals chance. But there's something I want to bring up in terms of something, basically something Stevie J brought up, and it's Hawthorn in 2025. And he pointed out that this list could contend for a premiership in 2025. And I do tend to agree with him. He said the only thing that they're missing is a key half back and a key half forward. And I couldn't agree more. Someone to support Sicily, someone to support Mitch Lewis, and pretty much for mine, the rest of the team's set. They have a lot going right for them, and their rebuild is also looking mighty good. At the bottom of the ladder, it is West Coast, North Melbourne, giant gap, Hawthorn, little bit of a gap, and then the rest. So Hawthorn, it's amazing that they were accused of tanking and accused of so many different things over this year, when realistically they've just proved that they are one of the premier young teams of the competition. So a brilliant win by the Hawthorn Football Club today. shocking the Dogs and potentially, shocking their top 8 chances. So moving on to Sunday afternoon game, we have St Kilda playing the Tigers, 14-9-93, playing 8-9-57. St Kilda won by 36 points. This was an absolute massive game for St Kilda, kicking a massive score for the first time in a while. I think they needed to do this, to really kick a big score against a really challenging team. Uh, so King kicking 6, Gresham kicking 3. Big performances out of some of their forwards, which is going to be crucial come to September because they've almost got themselves there. St Kilda, one more win should do it for them, and they'll be playing in finals. Tigers, pretty much that's it for the Tigers. They're done for season 2023, and it leaves McWalter in a very interesting position when it comes to will he or won't he coach the Tigers next year. So who knows whether he gets the top job, or it could be someone like a Jiran Siracusa, which has been floated around a lot this week. So yeah, the Saints, like I was saying, the Saints are almost there. They're they're they've had a season where they've outperformed, I think, everybody's expectations. They're now above where they were last season. They uh, basically proving a lot of doubters wrong in 2023. Ross is getting a lot out of this list. I made fun of him a lot last week, saying he's not, but realistically, at the end of the day, you can't deny that he does. It's one thing that he does well is getting the most out of some of these players. As we mentioned, he's wringing the last little bits of it out, but at the end of the day, he might be able to bring it out enough to get him even a finals win. So, especially if they can get some of those big boys firing down the forward line, and having players like Wilkie down back does not hurt in this one. Tigers, like I said, it's a bit of a disappointing season now. They're going to bow out, and it potentially could drop even further for the rest of the at this rate. So a shame to see them fall so far, but at the end of the day, as well, you'd sort of love to see it because you also love to see teams that have been up there for so long fall out. Now, if Collingwood, you could follow suit, that'd be nice. Same with you, Sydney. You don't need to come back. uh, we just need a little bit more variety in when it comes to finals. Just a little bit. In this one, the Saints were just absolutely tougher around the contest. Tackles seemed to be the trend for the day. Tigers just couldn't get close to them when it came to the first half, 20-36 in the opening half alone, shocking the Tigers straight out of the gates. But the Tigers didn't. It's not like they lost the contest when it comes to the ball. Short, Martin, and Taranto still were influential with big possession games. So, the Tigers still had every chance to win this one. Just couldn't kick the goals when it was counted most, and St Kilda kick a massive score, which really boosts their finals chances. We'll move on to the final game of the day, which was Port Adelaide playing the Giants. 21-10, 136, played 13-7, 85. Port Adelaide wins by 51 points in an absolute shellacking. Giants taken a massive hit when it comes to their finals chances. A lot of people didn't have them in this position. I was one that was sort of cheering them on to get to September, even though I'm not a big Giants supporter. But at the end of the day, they were playing a really good quality brand of football. But this is a real big stumble for them. Even though it was against Port Adelaide and it was at Adelaide Oval, like we had said, they've travelled around the country. They've gotten wins all over the country. So there was no reason they couldn't go to Adelaide Oval, especially with finals on the line, and snuff a win out against Port. But Port were way too strong at this one. Every time the Giants did get a little bit closer, Port Adelaide just put the foot on the throat. They would just kick back. Horn Francis was phenomenal in this one, kicking 3 goals, 27 disposals. The kid, as I've said all season, he got booed early on, but he earned a lot of respect and he's earned my respect. So well done to the kid. Absolutely phenomenal performance. Other than that, it was just the usual suspects for uh, Port Adelaide, and they also proved that they can do it without can kick a big score without Charlie Dixon. So Rioli, Bergman, Marshall, and Finlayson and Burn Jones all getting multiple goals in this one. So they're every chance to, even without Charlie Dixon in September, potentially find a way to kick that big score that they are required to, because the Giants' outfit is no laughing matter. They're still a very, very strong outfit. And today it was just their their midfielders couldn't get going. They just couldn't find the ball and just basically got outmanned by the Port Adelaide midfield with Butters, Houston, Wines, Rosie, Horn Francis just absolutely destroying the likes of Green, Whitfield, Kelly. Just couldn't fire a shot against Port in this one. So it was a massive performance from Port, who just flex their muscle heading into finals, and just hang on that, just hang it on to that top two chance. Uh, they they were written off probably after that month they had where they just could not find a win to save themselves, but they're basically back in it, back in the top two hunt now. A couple of big wins to close out the season will pretty much secure that for them. So Port don't have to worry anymore about losing top two. They're right in the hunt for it. Melbourne are now the ones who potentially can't may not be in the top two. Brisbane sitting pretty in it. It's going to be just a race between those to find out who's playing Collingwood in week one, and then who's playing the home final between out of Port Melbourne and Brisbane. So not much to talk about with this one. Like I said, Giants just got absolutely pumped in the contest by Port, and it was a really good win by Port Adelaide heading into finals, a win they absolutely needed to have. And now I'm going to get on to some segments. Now, I'm just a messenger this week. Let me get this up. Nathan sent through the arrow to me this week, and it's brutal. It's brutal to Richmond fans. Oop. Did I say that? My arrow this week is Hawthorn. They're off the hook. He did have Hawthorn in his sights after last week, but they're off the hook in his mind because they did have a good game today. My arrow is at Richmond fans. Two things I saw this week, and it's actually three because I have the third as well. Tiger fans wanting a wild card play-in round. They've won 6 of the last 9 games, and that's what they're trying to justify a play-in game for finals. So basically, he's talking about the wild card round. So where basically 9th and 10th would be able to play off for a spot in finals during the bye week. 2. AFL hyped up this round on social media. The teams between 5th and 12th battling for final spots. All I saw in the comments section was Tigers fans complaining that they're not included. What about us? We're still a chance. Don't write us off. I could go on about Tigers fans and their superiority or inferiority complexes they display all year round, but for this week, they get arrowed for complaining about trivial things that I saw without a source to display, but try at me. I saw it with my own eyes. Jesus Christ, Nate, learn your fucking grammar or your autocorrect, either one. But the other thing he also brought up was the fact that they were leaving today at 3/4 time, which, absolute shame. What kind of club would leave at 3/4 time? So, Tigers fans from Nathan, and I all right, you've been arrowed. Let's go break some hearts. I have to admit something this season. I dogged Sam Durham. He should have been my boy when Bo McCreary was selected, but that's besides the point. It's not Sam Durham. I'm dogging him again. This week is, though, from the Essendon Football Club, Nick Martin. The boy who was selected as a supplementary pick at the start of the 2022 season, he was a big shock for the Essendon Football Club in 2022. He was basically picked up out of absolutely nowhere. He debuted in 2022. He has played a total of 42 games now. Total goals 36. Date of birth just for Meso, the 3rd of April 2001. He's an absolute star. This kid. He was drafted from Naranda in WA in the Subiac, basically from the Waffle. He was playing some good football in there. So Nick Martin, after the week you've had, welcome to the boys' club. What a mess that was.
You remember this, pal? You're a boy in a man's world.
Because I love random players who Meso has never heard of. I wonder if he's heard of this one. Trent West, who played 54 games for Geelong between 2008 2013, traded to Brisbane, played another 16 games for a total of 70. He was drafted number 31 in the 2005 national draft. So basically went from 2005 to 2016. Didn't play a game till 2008. So what an absolute boy in that sense. He was born on the 17th of October, 1987. And kicked 28 goals in his career and, has earned himself a spot in the Stephenson Wary Hall of Fame.
It's cash time!
Ouch!
Well. The boy's missing again. What did we expect? Big match last week, and then just goes missing this week. So real shame. Yeah, real shame for mine. Where's Takeshita? Where is Takeshita? But big news that was coming out of this week, which I'll just touch on quickly, was he could be Omega's opponent for All Out, and that is mental for mine. So that is something that I've been waiting to see for months. So Kenny versus Takeshita could be one of the biggest matches that we get in 2023 in the AWO. So stay tuned for that one. For the boy that I'm sure only we care about, and that is Takeshita Watch. But since I'm all alone, I'm just going to finish up here. So I'm going to go into the fixture for next week. So Friday night, Lions take on Collingwood at Marvel Stadium. That's a big one for the Lions' top two chances. Move on to Saturday, Richmond versus North Melbourne. That's just a big one for Richmond to have any resemblance of hope to make the top 8. I know I've talked them down. That one's at the MCG. Gold Coast play Carlton at Spurbank Stadium. That's massive for Carlton. They win that. They really do cement finals, and then anything's possible from there. Giants play Essendon in a massive. That's massive. Basically, who gets the chance to play finals? Are the Dons cooked? We will wait and see. St Kilda play Geelong again another. It's just massive clash after massive clash. Where if Geelong lose this one, they can kiss finals goodbye, and if the Saints lose this one, then top 8 can still look a bit shaky for them. Which that's something that they really don't want heading into September. Crows play Sydney, with the Crows still with the tiniest slither of a chance to play finals, and Swans just looking to really cement their final spot as well. Sunday, we got Dogs playing the Eagles. That's just, a nothing clash. Melbourne playing Hawthorn. Can the Hawks do it again? Who knows? And the final game of the round, Freo playing Port Adelaide. Can Freo cause a little bit of a headache for Port and potentially ruin their top 2 chances? We'll wait and see. But I am the AWO Journeyman. Like, share, subscribe. We are available on YouTube, Spotify, and Instagram at AWO Journeyman. And please drink more water.